Okay, fab. Well, I'll just jump in anyway. So, thank you for coming to our community sprint review today. I'm sure most people are familiar with our program of community sprints, and the Universal Viewer. But in case you're not, the Universal Viewer is a piece of open source software that allows our users to access digital content, well, all our digital content. So it provides a consistent interface for all your collection items, and that could be images, documents, multimedia, audiovisual, and even 3D. And as I'm sure you're aware, but I don't want to assume that open source software is free to use and distribute, and it's developed collaboratively. And that is what we're doing here with the UV. And that's what we've been doing for nearly 2 years now. We have a really rich and diverse community working on the Universal Viewer. And we run community sprints where members of the community will all come together and we work on specific development areas. And those development areas are determined by the Universal Viewer Steering Group. And this programme of community sprints make up our strategic roadmap, I suppose you could call it. And they've been very successful. And yes, and I'll show you this one now. So Sarah's sharing our Miro board. We work on Miro, but first I'll introduce the community team. So my name's Erin Bernand. I am product owner for this sprint alongside James, my colleague James Misson, also from the BL, who is sharing product owner tasks with me for this project. Sarah Wheel from the National Library of Wales is our Scrum Master. We have Damien Katz, he's not here on this call now, but he's from Villanova. We have Stacey Reddick, we have Lanny from the BL, we have Jeff, and we have Jonathan Phillips from the National Library of Wales, and we have Sarah alongside the BL colleagues as well. So this is our community team. We have all been involved in this project now. This is the fourth and final sprint of our website development project. And we've been working on this now since November, I think it is. So our current website, I'm not sure if everyone on this call is familiar with it, but it's quite minimal. It was just a single page. It was quite functional. Oh, thank you for sharing it. It's quite functional. It did its job. And there were things that people liked. So people like the examples, the showcase here, and the ability to enter a IIIF manifest. But there were problems. We did not have access to the latest stable version of UV, which was incredibly challenging. If you, like me, are not a developer actually working with the UV, you didn't have opportunities to see what you could do. We were getting queries about this all the time. There wasn't really much clear signposting and not really any content held within the website. It was all linked out onto GitHub, which again is a bit Marmite. People either love it or hate it. So the website really wasn't representing the community that it was supposed to serve, the community that we have evolved into over the past 2 years. So if you can just jump back to the Miro. So we determined a product goal. Here you can see the product goal. This was back in November. And we wanted to transfer ownership and maintenance to the community so we can make the Universal Viewer website a sustainable and authoritative resource that makes clear what the UV is. Because we soon learned it wasn't always clear what the UV was. When we were posting on social media, we were getting asked the question, well, what actually is it? We wanted to be able to showcase the latest stable release. And connect users to relevant information. You know, the UV is quite technically complex. And if you're asking a community to actively work on it, you want them to be able to feel supported. And again, that in turn will foster active community participation. So that was our product goal back in November. So for this sprint, we have done a considerable amount of work on the projects up to now, involving a discovery sprint right from the beginning. We did lots of user research sessions. So we had laid foundations up to this sprint. This sprint was really where we put all that sort of background work into practice. So we knew it was going to be a really busy sprint, and it was. But we set the MVP for this sprint, which was a beta website with updated design, branding, and the current content imported into the new structure, which would be ready for user testing, and a skeleton workflow documented ready for future updates. So our priorities were a new structure, a new design. We wanted all that current content, for the MVP added in. We wanted some nice new features like Google Calendar and the ability to blog. The team had to learn Astro, and we wanted to publish our user personas that we determined back in our user research sessions. So Sarah, shall I hand over to you for the sprint management?
Of course. So at the end of the sprint, we have a sprint retrospective. And this was really a final sprint retrospective as well, what went well during the whole project. So one of the main themes was that it was really good to work in collaboration with other institutions, and it was a really good learning opportunity for people to work on something they probably wouldn't have had time, or not something they would have used in their everyday work life. So it was really nice for everyone to come together on a project that wasn't just development led. This was a really good mixture of dev and content and design and web skills. So that's something that really came across really well. And it was really nice for us to take ownership of the website and to be able to work out what our users wanted from the site, and to engage with the wider community, not just people who are community developers, people who don't come to the community call, people who aren't familiar with the UV, from across all aspects of the sector, really. And we've come out with a really nice test website that we can use for user testing. So we created a solid framework, and we also have a blog system, which we'll show you in a bit. So they're the things we were really proud of during the sprint. But obviously, along with the things you're proud of, there are things that you aren't so proud of, or maybe things you think could have gone better. So we really did realise that we'd bitten off a lot during this sprint. We probably should have had some kind of reevaluation halfway through to work out what we could possibly achieve and what really wasn't going to be feasible. Obviously, the old problem of not having as much time to spend on the sprint as we would hoped. As most of us, this is a volunteer project for the majority of us. And even those who are working full time on the UV are pulled in other directions as well. So the content took longer than we thought. We tried to build on the Slack channels. We created a website content channel, and we hoped that we'd get feedback from others on that one. But unfortunately, we were maybe not as supported as we hoped on that channel. So that's something we need to address in the future and see how we can improve comms on that. And we also had a bit of a scope creep problem, where maybe in the future we should really feel that the team can say, stop, we need to reevaluate what we're doing and maybe streamline what we're doing a bit more. So they were the main themes about what we didn't feel we did as well. So things we could do better next time in future sprints and future projects. Try and increase the time that we can spend working on a project during each sprint. Try and be a bit more specific and narrow the scope down. Try to separate out on our community boards what is project specific and what are core UV work, so we don't muddy the waters there, and not try and fit as much in. But in that way, we could have a look at pruning tickets or refining the tickets during mid-sprint, so we can maybe have a more definite direction. So there's lots of things we want to look at going forward. We need to decide how we're going to ask for feedback on the new site and when we're going to share that with you. How we want to share that with the wider community and how we can collect feedback on that. And things for the future: ask for and offer help more freely during these projects. Plan a little bit better regarding content creation, which, as we've said, that took longer than we thought. And then look into the future, how we can continue to maximise how effective we are with the contributions we're getting in. And then we also need to look at our blogging process. We will have a blog, and this is something that we hope that every institution will be able to use to promote what they're doing, how they're using the UV and their collections. And then we need to look at how the community core can support this work in the future and to continue to incorporate feedback into the work and develop the website as an ongoing concern, really. But I think everybody learned a lot. We did have team goals to be more collaborative, to learn Astro and make effective use of workshops. And the team really did feel that they had learned a lot, and this collaborative environment really works really well for them. So I'm going to invite anybody on the team now to say if they have anything else to say about how they felt during this project and what they learned. I'd be really grateful.
Have you got any pills? No. I can say a little bit about Astro. It's a fairly new web development framework that's really good at doing features like blogs, and it was new to all of us. So in the last sprint, we spent a fair bit of time reading through documentation and getting used to it. And yeah, it felt quite exciting to learn something new that feels quite modern in terms of web development rather than just using old infrastructure and tools. So yeah, that's one thing I really like about these sprints, is that there's openness to using new methods, things like that.
Great, thank you, James. Would anybody else from the team like to say anything about this sprint? Okay.
Okay, shall we demo the
I think so.
website then?
Just to show you the project board, we did have quite a few tickets left, but we completed 67 tickets, which I think across 4 sprints. So this project is a really huge achievement, absolutely huge. So
yeah, and it's been a very collaborative. Sorry, I just wanted to point out
that
yes. While I think a lot of people on this call, while they weren't necessarily attending every single stand-up or coming to the inception, they helped out with feedback, with the user research sessions. So it's felt really like there's been very meaningful collaboration in this project, which has been really heartening, I think, at this stage in our sort of community evolution. It's been really nice. But yes, we'll show you what we've done now, because that's the important thing, isn't it? And I'm conscious of time. So yes, this is our it's our current website. And yeah, it's minimal. It does what it says on the tin. Well, in fact, it wasn't doing what it says on the tin because we weren't able to look at the latest release. So it was becoming an issue, and we were getting negative feedback on that. So have we got a new one? So this is our beta website. So as you can see, the look and feel is very different. We've changed the typography. We've tried to explain things a lot more. And so get rid of that assumption that everyone knows what UV is, everyone knows what IIIF is. So there's a new tagline, which I think is really good. Because while the other one was quite snappy, it didn't really say much. I think was it in emojis? I don't know. This is a lot more the way it should be for people that are new to. Oh, we had already changed it, haven't we, in the first one? But that are new to the product, which you have to assume that a lot of people visiting this website will be. It's not just going to be developers. So we have the features as well, front and center. For that easy, just look over them. You can see exactly what you're getting. And then, as we mentioned before, the showcase is a really popular feature, and nobody wanted to lose that. The more examples, the better. So we have kept that. The getting started section was something we took from UVCon, and thinking about different web sort of paths for different types of users. So you have, the path for, are you integrating UV? What will you need for that? Are you participating in the community? What will you need for that? And do you just want to see what UV does? So there's these sort of paths that you can go down. So instantly, you're not sort of searching around for information that you might not know what it's called, for example, and things like that. So hopefully, it should be a lot clearer to find where you're going to go. And then we have, because our community is incredibly important, we wanted to put the logos of all our steering group members and our major contributors front and centre, because they are really who make this community what it is. So, which is, I think, a really nice touch. Do we want to go to, if we go back to the different paths and we can click each one? So, yeah. So if you're integrating UV, that will take you to our documentation page. These will be populated as well with more information as you go along. If you want to participate in the community, this is one of our pages that has quite a lot of content, and this is quite well sort of fleshed out. So it will give full information of the community, what we do, role of the steering group, where to look for upcoming events. So you can see our nice new Google Calendar. Because again, some of our feedback was people constantly having to find the right link to join community calls or not know which was the correct one and things like this. People having to go down the Slack route, the whatever. So we just wanted people to be able to, we want to remove all those barriers to contribution and make it as easy for people as possible. What else should we go to? Should we the events page, which I think is quite linked to that. So you've got the Google Calendar. We will be putting links as well to upcoming events and things like that. So that will be nice. What about the demo? So the demo is a big one, and this is the really crucial, I think, part of the website, and this has been vastly improved, I believe. So we have introductory text for the content. It is not assumed that you know which each thing is. It was messy. We tidied that up. You can clearly say you get an example of different types of material, which I think is really nice, with the institution that it comes from. You can see them all there. Obviously, if anybody wants to contribute an example to this, please do. And then there's the option to add your own IIIF manifest, and again, with introductory text to say what it's doing. And I think the nicest part of this is I suppose it would be a config editor, would it be called? But basically, for non-technical types like myself, it's just a really easy checkbox to have a bit of a play around with the different ways you configure the UV. So I know some colleagues on the call quite interested in having a very minimal implementation of UV. So without the header and the footer and things like that, and you can actually go and have a play without having to know anything else. You can just go and do it. But then if you are a developer, there is the option to do the links, and you can go to a more sort of complex config editor when you can put your own code in. So there are options. So we're trying to serve all those different user groups in our community. And I think I would say we're doing this quite well without it being too busy. So it's clearly signposted and you know where you need to go. But I'm hoping people really like that, the option to customize the UV without any prior technical knowledge, because I know I find that very helpful.
We also have a language switcher. Would you like to talk about that? Or I'm happy to talk about that.
You talk about the language switcher.
Yeah. So at the moment, we hope to have many languages, but initially to set up the localization, as we have fluent Welsh speakers on the call, we at the project, we've changed this to it's in English and Welsh at the moment. So it's contextually switched per language, and most of it has been translated, I think. Jonathan's updated that today, and you should be able to go to each page. It hasn't been fully populated in Welsh yet, but each of these pages will be switchable, and if there's a post in that language, it will show up here. Otherwise, the default posts will show up in English, which is our default language at the moment. But it's really good to see the possibilities, and hopefully we'll have many more languages once we get our translation team in place. And if anybody would like to have the strings to this and translate it into your language, please do. Please contact us, and we would be only too pleased to get that from you.
And just a quick look at the blog page, actually. So this is our a new feature of our website as well. We've reached out to steering group members and major contributors in the first instance, just asking them to commit to providing a few blogs a year, which most I think are. But this will be open, and we'll have to write, I think, a policy regarding contributing to blogs and things like that. But that will come in at a later sprint. But it's a great way to promote how you're using UV in your institution, especially if it's an unusual type of use case. So hopefully this will be, and a nice way to reach out to other community members and see what they're doing. And if somebody's doing the same thing that you want to do, again, it's building that community network, which I think is really nice. So we've got the communities, because we were quite ambitious with this sprint, we didn't quite get everything done. So we've got a few bits and bobs to wrap up before this is ready for testing, before we can provide the link and get everyone to give their feedback. But just from what you see today, I'm really interested to hear people's thoughts. I mean, is it what people expected? Do you think it's an improvement? Type it in the chat if nobody wants to speak. I don't mind.
I think it looks great. It's much better and much clearer with to find the different parts of the site. So I think you've done a great job.
Thank you. And thank you for participating in the user research sessions as well, Anders.
No worries.
Talking of which,
yes,
just ask Stacey to come and talk to us about
yes, thank you. I think we've got time.
If we've got time.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been focusing on is who our users are, and that's been an interesting journey. We set up a few focus groups with certain of our predetermined assumed audience groups, and these are the personas that have come out of those. One of the things that's always fun about talking to users is learning how they describe themselves. And so we learned, I think, in our conversations that the categories that we had selected might not actually fit how people see themselves. So we ended up with a lot of like, I'm not a technical user, much more than we anticipated. So one of the things that we did was change from a like who you are framing to a what you're trying to do framing. And we came up with these 4 categories. This may not be all of the categories or personas that we're going to end up having, but this was our first round. And in these personas, you can see what people have told us about who they are, what they're trying to do, and what they need from the UV website. So I think we're very happy with these. There will be more information in a blog post soon. And hopefully these will continue to be useful as we go forward with updating and modifying the website. And these are just some examples of some of the images we were playing around with. One of the things that was very helpful was talking to the community about what images we should put on these as we changed from who you are to what you're doing. And so we ended up with a suggestion from Mia to do artworks, which is why they're all artworks and maybe a little bit less directly related to the personas than they would have been otherwise if they were just symbols. But I think we're all very happy with the artwork images that we ended up selecting.
Thank you. And yeah, they're lovely, the images as well. And Stacey's really put so much work into this, and we've all really benefited from her expertise in user research and UX. So thank you very much. Before I finish, have the team got anything they'd like to say or like to ask the stakeholders or anything like that before I wrap up? Feel free to jump in. Do the stakeholders have any questions for us or any feedback or anything like that?
So when do you think it will be live?
When did we say? We're very keen to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
I think the risk with projects like this is that it finishes and then everybody forgets it's happened. And so we want it to be very soon. We've got a task for next week to go through the tickets. check everything, see what needs to be done, add check boxes to the GitHub tickets. So that's what we're doing next week, and then hopefully we can get those sorted. So it'll be very soon, Sarah, won't it?
Yeah, I think we're hoping to send it out for testing in the next fortnight, definitely, and then we'll see who has time to write. If the more we can crowdsource some of the content for some of the pages, but I think we're almost there. We just need some contextual introductions for most of the pages, and then we'll be maybe changing the documentation page a little bit to flesh that out. But we are very close.
Yeah,
so
we underestimated the effort required with the content.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. We're definitely getting there.
Go and join the website content channel on Slack if you're happy to either contribute or do volunteer to do some testing on the content. It doesn't have to be anything scary. Please come over and just say hello and say you're free to help us. If you would like to do some translation work, there is a translation channel, so please post on that to say happy to translate the site. It's not a huge amount of work. There isn't, there aren't 100 pages. There's just a little bit of labels, translation, and text. So we'd be really grateful for any help we can have. And if you'd like to test, you'd like to be a tester, we can approach you directly. Then please post on the general channel. Anywhere, really, we'll find you if you post, and we'll be in touch.
Just a question on translation. Is there a document with the fields required so people can estimate how much effort's required?
We don't at the moment, but we can make string files available for people if they'd like that.
Great, thanks.
I think up until now, it's just been people asking as and when, hasn't it? Which has ended up being quite time consuming. So that's probably a better way to approach things. But yeah. Okay, well, we're at time, but if nobody has any further questions, I just want to obviously say thank you to our community team. They've been absolutely fantastic as usual. And I don't know what I'm going to do at 2:00 every day now without going into the stand-up. So, but no, it's been fantastic. And thank you for everyone that was involved in this. And yeah, and thanks to all the institutions, of course, who allow everyone to come and volunteer their time, because it wouldn't be anything without that. So hopefully the new website is just another step towards really being able to showcase what the viewer does, how amazing it is, because I think that's part of the problem, is that it's been so hasn't been transparent of all the incredible things it can do. So hopefully we're really getting there now, and we'll keep everyone updated with progress. So thank you so much.